Radio.
Alt. Radio.
Radio. Ivan Cankar Images from Dreams. I could never write right in these last times. Every sentence I write is almost a physical affliction. They are not just unpleasant and sad external things that bind my pregnant hand and push my thoughts to the ground. It is true that the word that is running smoothly and happier would have been if there were at least a little sun. If at least once I could breathe out at full, free breaths. At least once I could look at truth and nothing more without fear, with an unspoiled eye. But this is not the main thing, and I'm not the only one among us to cry if we were not ashamed of it. Everything else, the deeper, the more ill, is what made my speech like resemblance, a barely understandable mourning, that my thought, instead of the light shining against the sky, flew too unsteady, not everything and cannot go anywhere. A young man climbs the verses, puts the rhymes up to the rhyme, and everything flows pleasantly over the level of the stream, without a problem, which is in itself, and is finally quite similar to the song. Sweet dancing sounds to him in the ear, from where, like memory is something nice, warm, which was, where, why, quiet mysterious whispers of words. Forests like the wind flying foliage. What do some mean? They definitely mean something. The eye is dull, the heart is soft with their sound. Love, longing, bitterness, thousands of them, without numbers, always smiling and more beautiful, they say the words. They beg to sing, or they are so strangely distant as if they are being written down by a strange voice over the mountain with someone else, an unknown person who may have died long ago. To him, the man of the mountain, these words were once the living beings with the physical face and the hot blood. Others are an unmistakable, clickable mystery. Even this young hand that writes fluttering on gold-plated paper. An unmistakable, unimaginative mystery, a wall with the rhymes for which life is. Or someday comes the clock, not brighter than the enlightenment from heaven, but slowly, step by step, night to day, cloudy, there is no indulgence that frivolously falls in the soul, clear until it stands just before the face. And this young man sees a dead, whitewashed wall in front of him and his dead words on it. He was grieved and embarrassed that he was similar to a child playing with colorful pebbles borrowed by words and trying to build a new house, or perhaps even a temple. And when this bitter realization is obscured by him, then dash. Then it usually shakes off those gloomy forebodings, this cold knowledge, and writes on the wall, more and more evenly. It seems to him that this knowledge was only an indifference, only a blatant disbelief in the time that caught the man more than once, like prelude and nugget, and also disappears in a certain way. From the moment that he overcame this prelude, he is proud of his rhymes and sensitive to them. As for his curiosity and immaculateness, he is touchingly sensitive, who is somewhere in the depths aware of the blame. He seeks with a restless eye, where he would throw out a mess and a mockery and grab a stranger on the road for his sleeve. Trust you, otherwise, to her. He is distressed to his neighbor, in the guise of a pilgrim, but he is worth compassionate, because he is most at ease in haste and disturbance. But the times on the horizon of this dark imagination and this cold realization are some kind of softly beautiful, very peculiar. A man reads the grumble of the verses he wrote, smiles half lovingly, half brighter, connects them with a red tape and saves them carefully, school notebooks and love letters that once they are going to get out of bed with their trembling hands when they are evening and night, they will pull out of the mantle, and with this vellum paper, with this gentle circular font with a slight sigh of ideas, not in rhyme but in the dewy young man who wrote them. When he was scratching his name from the wall, he was happy and devoted to his true ways, as was already indicated to him from the beginning. In that or that office, in one or another workshop, on a chamber, on a pulpit, or even at all in a cremo, always to a decent, conscientious merit of respect and happiness. And only for a while, hardly even with a strong wine, he comes to mind to listen to the rhymes that bear on the spring winds on the wings of butterflies in the evening. Among all the chosen ones, among those who are marked is one who answers how they respond to these beautiful, distant, foreign words, and send out from the depths of the heart of another word, quite new and purely, they are still begging, flattering, wailing, but more masculine and more always more distinctly brighter and louder than ever until all the other lights and all the other voices are squeezed in by sound and light. Well, look at the miracle strange. Those distant, foreign, incomprehensible words flew on the white paper itself. The other one kindly ran to the other, and, moreover, the song was locked as if it were long ago on paper, in the air and in the ear. The word is new, and the word is self-defending paper, refusing to tongue, not into a pen. It's in the heart. She is clear in him, she is mature, she cries to see the morning light, or it has grown deep into the bottom. It must be torn off by force, ruthlessly, and blood should spill, because it must be ripped off. So it was given to him a command that cannot be resisted. It was his hour when, in his young, prematurely beggarly heart, the first word was half conscious. For the first time, in the moment when he exclaimed from the depths, for the first time, half asleep in dreams. At that time, judgment was passed to his life on judgment by the end of the days. The judgment of suffering unprecedented, the same solemnness of sweetness that is in it, a flame in flame. In the beginning, the words were like young flowers that drive their tanks, soft roots in loose fingers, still in memory of dew and sun. They could have been rattled. There was no sigh. There was almost no drop of blood when the happy hand broke the flower, yet she brought the girl to the blows. But deeper, deeper into the chest, the roots reach their roots. They have already torn their fingers. They spread their mighty rocks, seized themselves, and stuck with a live network right into the middle, where dreams of humble flowers had previously been dreamed. They are wide, thick, dark fights. Cut them now, ruin them. A single blow of the axe will cause a widened dark forest to fall into the illness and terror. It will deeply sprinkle in the earth itself. The heart wakes up and squeezes out of pain. It is defended. It would rather be silent, but he must not remain silent. He must bear his affliction suffering, for such is the judgment and commandment. Every temple in the great domes of the human heart is hidden once in the other temple, and this in the third, and furthermore, further, without end. From the chapel to the chapel, from the prison to the prison, from the mystery to the mystery, every step, even dark and steep, leads only to the other stairs, the darker and the steeper, from the depths to the deep, from the dark to the dark. Many times it happens to a man that he has already opened even to the last temple, standing at the top of the last steps and looking into the bottom only, which was not obvious to anyone. This thought and sensual atrophy is provocative, a sign of fatigue. The shadow of that cold white hand, who once piously cheers on his cheeks and gives it up. There are tricks, perhaps barely aware, when you are indifferent. You want these merciful hands. Here is the end of the rest. Says, and behold, there are still stairs. They are still there, even in the mystery. Rise up, go. Do not delay. Here is the bottom. You say, now everything will be revealed, but look there. See the stairs. Get up. Go down into the deep, into the night. From the bottom. I would like to be professed from the bottom. I would be professing myself. from the bottom, calling out to the people from the bottom to hear my ears and see my own eyes, or there is not the last one. Lastly, for the decisive word of salvation, no one has ever heard, did not speak. Everything is just a delusion and the path is gone. Finally, pilgrimage to the silent catacombs of the heart. The life that this fetter body lives under the loud sun is only a medley, only the cloudy parable of the other life that is locked in you and within me. It is a blatant mystery that is more obscure and frightens the true face of a person than to reveal it truthfully to the brain. It seems to you that you know your neighbor, you saw him in wedlock and on the sedan. The word breaks out again in fear, in an emergency, in a transcendental joy. And before you is everyone else, an alien you have never met before, a man who is similar to you, to everyone and to anyone. Only the one who was fearless, the last of the truths, eager to reach into his own depths. Only those who were unbelieving. The catacombs broke into the heart of the brother. Without rest, a pilgrim is riding through these mysterious temples, along those dark stairs that sink into the abyss. Naked he sees the valuables, as he has never seen. He sees even more terror, which is not his image, nor his name. He is happy to have time to pray to the heavens, often sad to cry on his knees. Or when he returns from a long journey, he is full of knowledge, and falls among people to tell them everything he has seen. His tongue does not shake, he does not want a word from his mouth. And ultimately, by force, wrinkles and whispers are squeezed out of the throat, because it cannot keep quiet. It is hardly a sign, a mere memory of what he watched with his own eyes. There is no fear, pilgrimage, no fear of obvious confession. What would you be afraid of? He knows that at the time when he walked on the temples and steps of his heart, he walked at the same time with the burning lights upon the locked shrines of his neighbor, each and every one, where he did not have to knock. He looked at his eager, hot ones, as though they were open. And where he looked, he was at home. He knows that in those quiet depths, all people are brothers, as elsewhere, even in the church. He knows that, as if from the ashes, they would collapse the walls between them, if only one day they would look from the bottom. There are seeds in front of the house, there are aberrants, carriers, gypsies, thieves. From all sides and on all sides of the syringe greediness, the spit of envy is consumed by hatred, when the seeds are at the place and the barges. Carriers, gypsies and thieves are locked and each buy into the law which is 100 klafter under the soil of the earth. Then, there are no more. There is only one man, and this man is tall in his thoughts, noble, free from evil and hypocrisy in his emotions, pure, selfless, infinitely infused in his universal, every divine thing closely embraced by love. All this is a pilgrim, so he is not afraid to manifest himself in the name of his own and his neighbor. He's not afraid of it, or he's ashamed of it. The man is not ashamed of the vile, slippery sins that he has hardened into seeds. These are not ashamed of him, as if they were just hanging from the skirt and could be shaken off on the road. Is it a shame that cleanses the beauty that it keeps locked in itself, which has remained unshaken in the middle of the degradation in the sowing of the censer, unspoiled from the lukewarm and the puddle, from the quantum and the curse? This beauty is ashamed of him. Rather, I would obviously expose my sinful body, but only to open my brother to a narrow sling, even to the temple, where the pure light burns, which I was ignited in a lonely hour, carefully preserves that no one would ever know about a chapel in which he keeps his most sacred pain, his innermost joys, the inviolability of his youth, his most noble act, perhaps the only one in his long life, all the best he is ashamed of, the most embarrassed by him love. Thee, a pilgrim, cannot be ashamed. To you, a pilgrim, It is commanded from the heavens to watch what others cannot watch, to say what others cannot say. You do not have the right to lock down the doors, even those not, which you only open with a flickering hand. If you invite the light from the deepening of the depth, you must come down to it without hesitation and without fear to bring people that light. Often, your word is cumbersome and difficult, hidden, afraid, as the children of foreign society are afraid. You often turn your head to the side. You make your eyes shine, because even the best of you, the loudspeaker, is the shame of love. But every word, out of the shame of the ignorant, would burn you forever on your heart. And you, about the pilgrim, you know this pain. Remember your mother, who is in her grave. Tell me what I would not go for with my knees. Dig up my tomb with my hands to tell her what you did not want to say to her until she heard you. One word, perhaps only one, out of the brazen shame, out of heartbreak. He remembers many others, many who do not hear you anymore, and they will never hear you, who are eager to wait for your word, and you have not given them to them. Do not keep silent that you will not succumb to the deaf tombs, calling from the bottom, when the wind blows your words into the forest and the field. How suddenly my words are so heavy, so full of tears, how sick the market is from a frightened heart. This night I saw a great grave, ran from the mountains to the sea. The dead man lay in him, so bright and beautiful that the stars of the sky were steadily shining on him. On the face of him who was lying in the grave, the indefinite affliction was petrified. On the lips of those poor, the last reading was flashing. Listen to me, son. When you watched with devotion, I thought with a pure love, who gave me the law and the warmth from the bottom, gave me a drop of living with it. Show me the tears that you have caused for me. Show me the blood that you poured into my name. Your hands are empty to me. There is still room enough. Dash. Oh God, for they were only dreams, because there is still time, yet time. Dash.